You are listening to a TechSide Network podcast, TechSide.net, casual conversation from technically passionate people.
This is Americanitis, episode 21 for May 23rd, 2020. I'm your host, Daniel Sagner. This podcast contains harsh language and covers adult topics. You will be challenged by views with which you do not agree. We may not be politically correct, but we are correct about politics. I often have to remind myself that Twitter is not real life. It's even harder when isolated in our homes to forget that not only are the people on social media shielded by a kind of anonymity, but that we are looking at a self-selected group. The loudest on Twitter and Facebook are typically opinionated or narcissists or both. I'll leave it up to the listener to figure out which I am. So when I come across an absolutely hot garbage take, I need to remember that behind that shit smear of a post is a real person. They may not believe what they're writing. They may not have even thought it through. It doesn't matter. They need to have their shitty opinion read by strangers for likes and upvotes. All of this being said, I'm able to shrug off most of the filth that I come across. I have pretty thick skin at this point. I understand that a lot of people are either actively wrong or just haven't thought about the issues critically, and I'm doing something about it. Here I am, clicking keys and adjusting audio quality so that perhaps my voice will be heard by one more person this week, and they can make the choice to not shitpost about how we shouldn't pay landlords. But there was one post that set off this whole racket, one sentence that turned the Tweet of the Week segment into a main topic. This brainlet clumsily slammed their pudgy digits against their phone screen and eked out just enough brain power to hit send. And here it is for your listening torture. Quote, "This shutdown saga is exposing who's never been told no in their life," unquote. Just take a moment. Yes. Let the idiocy flow over you. Let it seep into your pores and marinate you in a bath of imbecility. Recognize that people like this reach many more eyes than this podcast at present. This tweet got 330,000 likes. All right, now snap out of it. Who is this jackass? Craig Jenkins, going by Craig Bro Dude on Twitter, is a music critic for New York Magazine. This also credentials him as a cultural commentator, but what doesn't these days? Now, as much as it pains me, let's break down this mind-numbingly inane tweet. I've got nothing better to do today, do you? The shutdown saga is exposing who's never been told no in their life. This scumbag has a lot of fucking nerve. I'm willing to bet he's doing just fine. You know, after he gets over the hurdles of getting music over the internet and then writing about it for a website, yeah, he must be really struggling to pull that off. I don't usually say this word because it has a lot of connotations that I don't like, but dude, check your fucking privilege. Maybe for you, this is a minor inconvenience, but some people need to figure out how to feed their kids. This is not a fucking joke for them. It's literally life and death, but you don't care about that, do you? You just want to shit your little fucking wrong opinion out on the internet. You don't think, you just emote. Don't take what I just said the wrong way, dear listener. You do not need some altruistic excuse to be righteously indignant about this lockdown. You should be just as angry at the time that is being stolen from you. It's your life, and you only have so much time on this earth. Every moment of it that is spent being bound in any way at the point of a gun is an unspeakable offense. I'd like to also point out what makes this tweet especially vile. The dropped context. Context is important. Imagine I take you to a museum, and we go to the Egyptian wing. We take a look at some real mummies, and maybe even some skeletons. You might feel something like Sonder. You realize that this was a real person that lived long ago and had hopes and dreams just like you. You might be slightly creeped out realizing that this is all that will be left of your body one day. You may have a spark of interest and want to look up more about the mummification process. Then I take you into the alley out back behind the museum and show you a freshly murdered man. Would you feel the same sonder interest and slight creepiness? Or would you be alarmed, revolted, and frightened? But what's the difference? They're all just dead bodies. That's context for you. That's why it's so important. So what's the context here? Never been told no in their life. That phrase, being told no, was chosen specifically to be inflammatory. But why? Because it brings up imagery of being told that you can't have ice cream when you were 9, being told you're not allowed to go into an exclusive establishment, or being turned down for a loan. Today you are being told that you may not open your business or see your friends or visit your relatives or buy clothes in store in the case of Vermont. What's the difference? In all these cases you were told no, right? So according to Craig Bro Dude, you should be fine with it. We should all just deal with it, right? But no, we shouldn't. The difference is clear, and it's reflected in the reality that this chucklefuck is trying to evade. The difference is force. If all these businesses and individuals made choices about their own personal risk, if businesses decided that it would be in their best interest to protect their customers by requiring that everyone on their property must wear a mask, then so be it. But that is not what is happening. Instead, the state is using the only power they have, the power of the gun, to force everyone into making what it sees as the correct choice. In fact, it is removing choice from the equation altogether, as force must. Being told no can mean a number of things. It can mean that I decline to let you use something of mine. It can mean that your parents tell you you need to eat your peas before your dessert. It can mean being locked in a cell for opening your hair salon. It can mean being fined for being out after curfew. It can mean having your liberties stripped away faster than you can say the Bill of Rights isn't null and void in case of a virus. Dropping context in this way is evasive, it's dishonest, it's irresponsible, and it's vile. These are the same kinds of people who say, "Wow, complaining about being stuck inside with Netflix and Uber Eats, LOL. People went through concentration camps and slavery. Quit whining like a bitch." As we all know, there cannot be more than one bad thing. There is only the very worst thing, and only the person who has gone through the very worst thing has any right to complain ever. It's a game of one-upmanship to find out who is the most downtrodden, a miserable pissing contest that only the most depraved can win or want to. You know what? I'm happy to whine like a bitch. I'll be the squeaky fucking wheel who's eating up the airwaves calling for a revolution. That's what we need, you know. As the world opens up from this ill-conceived and immoral lockdown, we need to be shouting at the top of our lungs. If you want the economy, the people, this nation to thrive and reach its former glory, there is one thing that our Congress critters need to do, and it's the easiest thing in the world. They need to let go. They need to let individuals make rational choices for themselves. But they won't. They love the power. They've grown fat on it. I don't think they'll ever give it up. So, will we have a second American Revolution, or will we chill on our couches eating delivery while Rome burns? Time will tell if Americans still have the spine for it. In the meantime, Craig Bro Dude and his ilk can sit on the throne of evasion, ingratiating themselves in front of virtue-signaling sycophants all they want. The fact remains that this is the kind of surface-level assessment that you're going to get from the Twitterati. Want something better? Go follow Kirk, Diego, and Ken. Some of the best follows and beacons of light I've come across on that hell site. Links in the description of the show notes. So what can you do in the face of all of this? Well, you can do the most rebellious thing possible. Think for yourself. I'll leave you with one of my favorite Rand quotes. "Defiance, not obedience, is the American's answer to overbearing authority." I mean, come on. That's pretty punk rock. Gotta topic or feedback, the podcast is at Americanitis Tech. You can also follow me at Dan Sagner, and my last name is spelled Sierra Alpha Golf November Echo Romeo. Please subscribe via Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. If podcasts are your thing, I'm also on YouTube, so remember to annihilate that subscribe button. Patronize us at patreon.com/techside. Show notes are at techside.net/Americanitis. Theme music by Eddie. I thank you all for listening. Later days.